So it's been 5 months since Gotham Knight came out, and the game had a pretty awful launch, horrible optimization. So today we're going to be going back and revisiting the game and seeing if they've done any improvements to the game's performance. I'm going to be using the RTX 3080 with the Ryzen 5900X. Alright, so here we are in the settings using the RTX 3080 at 1080p, and here's the ultra preset or the highest settings. There we are with that. No RT, but I'll be using that as well at some point because the game was very stuttery with RT enabled. So we'll see if they improve that as well. Alright, let's jump into it and see what we can get. Alright, here we are in the actual game. I've completely forgotten all the controls. This might be a bit rough, but hopefully we'll do good. We're in the main city already, which was the most intensive part of the game. I'm gonna call on the bike. And before, from what I remember, we're getting 40 FPS up to 60 FPS on the bike. So already we're sitting at 110 FPS, which is pretty good. Now driving. Okay, 90 FPS, it's definitely doing better, but we're still getting CPU bottleneck quite heavily. GPU sitting at 40% up to 50%. But yeah, definitely feels better. Doesn't feel laggy at all. We're getting a bit of stuttering as I'm going through the level or the area. But overall, it's feeling quite smooth, and FPS, it's pretty much sitting above 80 FPS the whole time. Up to 120 FPS even. Which was never the case when the game came out. Now let's go ahead and restart the game and enable RT. Because with RT, the game was awful. A lot of stuttering, was pretty much unplayable for me. So I'm going to go ahead and restart the game, enable RT again, and come back with that. Alright, here we are with RT enabled. Going to the settings and the graphics. Here's RT right here. It's on. And FPS is sitting in the 70s and 80s. But the main thing is the stuttering. I want to see if it's going to be smooth or very laggy. Let's go on the bike. Oh, nice car, dude. What is this? Can I steal this, please? Pretty sweet ride. Nice sound system, too. Alright, let's get on the bike. Get going. So far it's running very smoothly though, no stuttering at all pretty much. This is how the game should have launched, to be honest. Okay, FPS is still falling to the 50s. I might have spoken too soon. But yeah, so far the stuttering is pretty good. There's none of it pretty much. But FPS wise we do fall into the 50s occasionally, unfortunately. And GPU is sitting pretty much at 40% up to 50%, so still a very big CPU bottleneck. So now on foot we're doing 90 FPS up to 100 FPS, which is much better. And yeah, the stuttering is pretty much non-existent. So the game is very playable at this point, even with RT enabled, and it should be a good time. It is still very CPU intensive, obviously, but it's not as bad as what it was before. Alright, let's go and test that 1440p and 4K really fast as well, and then go on from there. Alright, now here we are at 1440p. Still getting bottlenecked by the CPU, unfortunately, but now GPU is sitting at 80% usage. I think before we were sitting at 60% usage or 50% usage, and FPS was sitting in the 60s and 70s. So doing much better. The game looks much better as well, looks far more clear. Let's call on the bike. But yeah, FPS wise, it should be the same as 1080p because we were getting bottlenecked by the CPU in both scenarios. There we go. Still very intensive on the bike, falling into the 80s from the 120s, but at least we're not falling into the 60s like before. 90 FPS. Yeah, what can I say? It's definitely improved, but it still has some ways to go in my opinion. But I don't think they're going to do anything about it, to be honest. The game is already 5 months old, so I'm not sure if they have any incentives to actually update the game and fix it up even more. Because it's already playable, not stuttering, so yeah, I don't know. And here we are with RT enabled, sitting in the 70s pretty much on average, even in the 80s at times. But it mainly depends on where we are in the town, to be honest. Whoa, I was a misclick. I was trying to do a wheelie. Where's my bike? What's the key for the wheelie? Shift. Okay, I was holding control. Wheelie time, let's go. Oh yeah. Now with RT enabled, we do get some micro stuttering still, unfortunately, but it's not as common. It only happens when I'm going through the areas or some areas. So it's not as big of a deal as what it was before. But just keep that in mind. Okay, let's go and push it up to 4K and continue on from there. And here we are at 4K, and finally we're not getting bottlenecked by the CPU. GPU is fully maxed out. VRAM is sitting at 7 gigs. We're pulling 370 watts. It's quite a bit. So yeah, at this point FPS will be lower than 1440p and 1080p because GPU is fully maxed out. But FPS is still going to be sitting in the 70s and 80s, so really not much point in using DLSS. But you can if you want to get 100 FPS in those easier scenes. And with RT enabled, we'll see if the FPS falls below 70, but it might, we'll see. And now here we are with RT enabled at 4K. Our VRAM has gone up to 7.7 gigs from what, 6.5. FPS is down a little bit into the 60s and low 70s at this point. Obviously more VRAM intensive and your FPS will be a bit lower, but as you can see, there's no stuttering pretty much, and the game's running quite smooth for the most part. So overall the game has definitely improved from what it was before, but it does have some ways to go still. It's running a lot better, but it's still very CPU intensive, and we do get some micro stuttering occasionally as well, which is a bit annoying. So yeah, I think that's about it guys. Thank you guys for watching, hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll catch you guys next time in the next video. See you guys there.